Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Bull Take Scouting Podcast. Today, we're joined by our special guest and 2021 NFL Draft prospect from Miami, Ohio, cornerback Emmanuel Rugamba. He was 13 All-MAC in 2019, won the MAC championship, was defensive MVP of the game. Manny, would you like to introduce yourself a little more?
Manny Rugamba here from Miami of Ohio, defensive back. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, of course. So I think we'll just hop right into the first question. A little bit more of an icebreaker. So, Manny, when did you start playing football, and what was, the moment or the time that you really fell in love with the game?
Started playing football when I was 9 years old. My mother had 7 other brothers. I was the youngest of 8 brothers, 2 sisters. So she was just trying to find some way for us to, spend some time away from her or whatnot, just not being so busy all the time. So she was going to sign us up for basketball, and then the cutoff age was 10 years old, and I was 9 at the time. So we drove around the rec center when I couldn't get signed up for basketball, and then the first football sign she signed me up.
Man, no, that's a great story. And yeah, we have Justin here shouting out that Michigan pick. Do you want to elaborate on that moment?
Man, that was just a credit to Coach Parker, credit to the guys that I was surrounded around in that room. It was a short notice, didn't know if I was going to start that week, but I was really prepared. Like I said, the guys around me helped me a lot. Guys like Miles Taylor, he was a safety that played at Iowa. I'm sure they know who he is. And just being able to feel comfortable around guys because, you've known that they're prepared. You've known that they've helped you prepare. So to be able to, catch that pick in that game in my first start, it was just kind of like icing on the cake with all the preparation.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely amazing. And so, would that be your favorite memory of your years playing football, or are there a couple other special occasions that come to mind?
Man, I would say I know everybody says it and it's cliche, but there's not a lot of football moments that beat the ones that you get in high school. Playing high school football, playing for the state championship, those cold games. I could just think off the top of my head multiple memories, but Michigan is definitely up there. I would say that, and being able to win a MAC championship in Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a college football player, but I played football in high school, so my team wasn't very good, but I can definitely relate. There's nothing like playing those cold games where it's 10 degrees. There's nothing like it. All right, I think we'll get into a little bit NFL draft talk now. So, you've told us that you already talked to a few NFL teams. So, what was it like when you got that first contact from an NFL team or an NFL coach?
It was kind of, I don't know. I really didn't know. I would compare it to probably like receiving your first scholarship in high school. I would say it's one of those things where you grow up saying I want to play in the NFL. You grow up saying I want to play college football. You play in college football. You say you want to play in the NFL. And you obviously can't go right away. It's not like you can do one and done. So it's one of those things that you repeat to yourself every day, 4 or 5 times a day. So to even get a call or even a text message or just see that anybody sees you on their board, for me, it was kind of like, I wouldn't say a dream come true because the work isn't done yet, but it was just something nice to feel that the work that you put in is not going unnoticed.
Yeah, when was that first moment where you heard that you were being considered as a potential NFL prospect?
I would say that was after the MAC championship game. After the MAC championship game is when I started to receive those kind of contacts, and it was relieving because I had the red shirt when I got to Miami of Ohio, and the football world is not really about what you've done, but it's about what you're doing. So it would sit out for a whole year and just watch the whole football world move forward. You kind of get discouraged sometimes here and there. So to be able to get that call, like I said, it was something that just kind of took a monkey off your back. Feel like your work is being seen.
Yeah. So, like you said, you redshirted your first year at Miami, Ohio, and you played at University of Iowa before. So I don't know if you wanted to touch on a little bit what was your reasoning for transferring, and then what was that whole process like of almost having to be recruited again a second time?
Oh man, I would say that recruitment was a little different. I would say it was a little different because it's not like high school where you don't know too much about everything. it was probably my second time around getting recruited, so I was really familiar with the process. But Coach Martin is a coach that I've known since high school, and it was a place that I felt comfortable. I spoke with him my junior year of high school, spoke with him my senior year of high school as well, and he was just the same guy that I met back when I was 17 years old. So I knew that I wanted to go there and I wanted to play for him and wanted to give it my all.
Yeah, really glad that you got to be able to get that great fit and star in your role at Miami. And so just back to the NFL draft process. How's the whole process unfolding for you right now? How just from maybe a couple months ago when the season ended all the way through April, just take us through the steps in the process a little bit from the player perspective.
The process was definitely unorthodox this year.
Yeah.
Going off of everything that was going on, my senior year was cut short. We only played 3 games, so I was kind of dwindling between the decision of coming back to school or declaring for the NFL draft. And after talking with my family and everything, and those that are close to me and that I confide in when I need help, I feel like it's the best decision. But like I said, it wasn't a decision. So as far as that wise, I've been in New Jersey for the past 6 weeks training at Test Football Academy, and that's been great people there, take care of you there. They really invested in you, and they try to pull out the best out of you.
Yeah, so obviously you're training with other NFL prospects. So I'm not sure if you're allowed to say who you're training with, but who are a few guys that that you're training with for the NFL?
I don't want to speak on too many other people. Like I don't know how about that, but I do have a team of mine, Tommy Doyle. He's at Miami of Ohio too, left tackle. He's getting looks as well. I feel like it was nice to train with him, get some familiar faces around. So early on, it was a lot easier to get into the environment.
Yeah. Do you have any idea yet what really draft weekend is going to look like for you? Because I just imagine that's just going to be a crazy frenzy and just some really great emotions too. So how do you envision that unfolding when it comes around pretty soon?
Man, it's one of those things that you've thought about for a long time. You've thought about since you were a kid, and it's something that you've had a picture in your head of how it's going to go. But like I said, with the circumstances with COVID and everything like that, I don't plan to have too many people around. First and foremost, I want to, keep everybody healthy around me, especially my family. And so I would say they're probably modest of some sort, but the excitement is definitely going to be through the roof, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I mean it must be crazy. I can't imagine, how hard it must be to not be able to celebrate that moment with, everyone that you would want to, because, it's more than a few people, that are influential, all the way up from the friends and the teammates you make in high school and then in college, and then obviously, your family. So, I can't imagine how hard it must be to say, we're only going to celebrate with a few people, but obviously I completely respect and the decision to only make it a few people. Like you said, we got to make sure everybody's safe, and hopefully everything clears up soon enough and you can have a little bit easier of a transition into the NFL with rookie mini camps and stuff. So something I wanted to touch on was in 2019 you had 85 tackles from the cornerback position, and that's just extremely impressive to me. So you definitely well, to me at least, it seems like you take a lot of pride in the fact that you play a really physical game. So do you take a lot of pride in that? And you're making tackles more than pretty much any other cornerback in the league.
Definitely take pride in it. It's something that I noticed that I needed to improve. Like I said when I redshirted at Miami, redshirting sucked, but it was definitely things you can take from it. It's the most football I've watched. I started playing because that was the first fall that I wasn't playing football when football season was going on. So I noticed that I had to add that to my game and pretty much mindset. You got to be willing to sacrifice. It sounds messed up, but you got to be body at times. It's really just a concept of getting the guy on the ground and just making sure that he stays on the ground. It's like if someone gets him, I have to get him. That's the mindset you got to have. And when I took that with my game, I really didn't notice how many tackles I had until, at the end of the season, I looked up. So it's like, man, the mindset that I had is kind of work.
Yeah, and just to anyone watching who's up and coming, playing football, yeah, just as Manny just said, you gotta nail your tackling. Coaches just want reliable tacklers on the field, guys who can be trusted in the open field to bring the ball carrier down, and so that's definitely respectable. But tell us a little bit more about your game. What would you want an NFL team to know about you, about what you can bring to the table for them if you were to be on their roster?
I feel like the first thing I can bring to the table is my IQ as well as consistency. It's not about how many mistakes you make. It's about how many times are you going to make that mistake. Yeah, I mean, can you learn from that mistake? And just to apply that to playing fast. If you have a high IQ, you don't make the same mistake twice, and you're always in position. More often than not, plays, and you won't be chasing the game. I feel like that's one thing that from when I was a freshman to where I'm now, it's one thing that I had to understand that overall good cornerback play isn't just going out there and just picking the ball off every trying to make every play. It's really about just staying consistent. And I feel like that's one of the biggest things that I do. I stay consistent as far as tackling, as far as coverage wise. Those are things that I bring to the table.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you've actually had 2 seasons under 48% in terms of completion percentage against you. So that's just incredibly impressive and really speaks to that consistency that you have in coverage. So I'm really sure that's definitely something you take pride in. But just to switch on how you were talking about when you were a redshirt, you really focused on what you need to improve, and I'm sure that you definitely made a lot of strides, and that's definitely seen on tape. But just heading into the NFL now, obviously any player can always improve. So what are some areas that you're still looking to work on in your game?
I would say every aspect of my game. The one thing is the little saying that people has is if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's like one thing I'm a big learner. Is one thing that I like to take pride in. So to be able to not just learn from coaches, but to be able to learn from guys around the league, wherever I end up, I'll definitely be asking around. I'll definitely be taking my own mental notes of guys who do things the right way, or guys who've had success, or guys who are continuing to have success. Just try to take which part of the game I can take and apply to myself. So I feel like as long as there's guys in the NFL, as long as there's new guys coming in, even at the college level, sometimes a freshman might come in and, you might try to overlook that freshman, but he might do something that's a little better than you. But if you can figure out how to do it better than him, then you'll end up being better. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's really just competition, and being competitive brings out that nature of not just trying to learn from yourself, but trying to take everybody else's game and try to make it your own in some way, shape, or form, and try to perform better than they do.
Yeah, I just want to touch on something that you brought up a little bit earlier when we mentioned your tackling. And you said that when you redshirted, tackling was your weakness and something you wanted to work on. And that's something I really love. That it's not always easy for people to admit their weaknesses, and then it's even harder for a lot of people to work on their weaknesses and make them a strength. And that's something that I've heard from some of the best athletes in any sport is figure out your biggest weakness and turn your biggest weakness into your biggest strength, and then they say eventually you won't have any more weaknesses. So I definitely think that's definitely a great trait to have, and that's it's not something that a lot of people can do. So is there something in your life other than just having the dream to play in the NFL? Is there something else in your life that motivates you to just want to be better every day?
I would say my mother. My mother definitely motivates me to be better every day. Sometimes I can call her on a bad day, and she'll straighten me up. Really, always tell the best things to motivate me. And just seeing her life, raising 10 kids on her own, herself through nursing school, it's like the least I can do is make it to the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Because what she's done is you give that same pot to 85% of the people you walk past every day, and I'm not sure everybody can do it. So I would say I don't got to look too far for motivation.
Man, that's definitely really inspirational, and I'm really happy that you said that, because behind every successful athlete, that there are people who really were right there with them, and very often the parents and the amount of sacrifices that were made. And so, do you want to extend a little bit on that feeling of pride you're going to get in terms of being able to represent all the hard work that's been put by all the people, including your mother, in terms of getting you this far in your football journey?
Man, it'll mean the world, because it's not just my mother. It's definitely not just my mother. It's the parents of my friends who drove me to camps, the parents of my friends who drove me to not just football practice but basketball practice. Like everything you've done up to this point, somebody has helped you in some way, shape, or form. It's like everybody wants to claim that self-made, title, but at the end of the day, like I don't know too many self-made people who literally just make themselves. It's like everything that happens to you on a day-to-day basis, whether you like it or not, shapes who you are and involves the actions you have. Time you were 3 years old to where you're at now at 22, about 23. So it's a thing that continues. I'm continuously seeking help. I'm continuously trying to find people I can learn from. So I'll just continue to do that, and to be able to make it to the big stage in the NFL and try to excel in the NFL. It'll just be a credit to them.
So I just want to ask you a quick question about this whole COVID situation, and obviously the season and preparing for the college season was so different this year. But what was it like? Not having to prepare every day, but still not knowing if you were going to have a season, and then having a season but only being able to play 3 games. Can you just take me through what was going through your head and everyone on your team's head? Every day, not knowing what the future held.
Excuse me. But it was definitely up and down. The MAC was the first conference to cancel their season. So once that got settled out and they were canceling our season, I started to prepare for the NFL draft. My whole mind switched. You go from team, and then now you're trying to get ready for the biggest interview of your life. Then you go back into yourself, and then 2 months go by, and then news comes around that we might have a season. Then you got to shift your focus again, but then you still have to kind of plan for if they don't, what you will be doing, who you won't be doing, who you're going to sit down with agents-wise, who you're going to sit down with training-wise, how are you going to stay in shape with everything going on if it's shut down. So it was, I would say in one word, catastrophic, I would say. But like I said, it's something that everybody is going through. Everybody's going through right now in different parts of the world. So it was just that's one of the things that I kind of told myself as I was going through it, like, you're not the only person going through this. There's going to be people who won't be able to go through this. So you want to be the person to come out on the other side.
Yeah, and just on a better note, despite all these challenges that this season put on you, your team, and basically anyone in any situation, even beyond football, obviously, what was like one of the highlights of this season that you could find some happiness in, even in the midst of all this?
Man, I would say the highlight of the season was just playing football, because we never knew how many games we were going to play. I remember our first game of the year. We were excited. We played Ball State. They won the MAC championship this year. Hats off to them. They're a great team. But we won that first game against them. And I remember being in the locker room and coach was like, all right, we're celebrating this one. But, we got to switch our brains because we might not get another one. You know what I mean? So we got to get to work, because, one, our practice might get canceled and we won't be able to practice for 3 days and have to go out there and play. So you don't know where the game's going to go. So I think my favorite thing, being able to play football, even though we only played 3 games, some other people played 8 in our conference, 7, 8 games. Just to be able to go out there and play, it was something that it was definitely felt normal. You know what I mean? Like everything was going chaotic around you, but be able to play football in the fall felt normal. So that's what I enjoyed the most.
Yeah, and you didn't even bring up your 60-yard interception return for a touchdown against Akron.
Oh man, that's actually the first touchdown I've had in my collegiate career. So I would say that's the only good thing to come out of COVID. I would say just playing football and having to do that. So we only got 3 games, but to be able to do something that I've never done at the collegiate level, it was definitely exciting.
Yeah, and just flashing back to 2019, how did you guys won the MAC championship, and you were defensive MVP of that championship game? Just how did that feel when you work all season, and for it to culminate in such a success? That must be an incredible feeling.
Man, it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling because, like I said prior, I redshirted, and during my redshirt year, I tried to do my best to be around the team and try to help it every which way I could. I was on the scout team, played receiver there, played in practice, worked hard all day, every day. And then after that, the offseason came, and then we had a little rough start in the beginning of 2019. And then just to, continue go through obstacles dating up to when I got on campus. To go up there and be able to win a MAC championship, the first one they've won in years, and actually win the defense. It was like, I don't know, I would say it was really emotional. I had my family there. It was something that I don't think I'll ever forget. Just it was kind of those things. You don't really, not a lot of your work in life you get to see results. Not all of it. A lot of the time you're putting in work and you won't see it. You'll just look up one day and you'll be where you want to be. But to see the work and not just win the championship, but win the defensive MVP, it was overwhelming, I would say.
Yeah, and you mentioned playing wide receiver on the scout team when you were redshirted. In high school, you played wide receiver and cornerback. Obviously, you made the correct decision playing cornerback in college. But what side of the ball did you prefer? In high school, did you like offense better, or did you like defense better?
Oh man, I'm a receiver that plays corner to this day. I wouldn't say it was a side that I like more. Receivers who don't like scoring touchdowns. You know what I mean? It's like that's like the best game to be able to cross the line and you get 6 points. I mean, when I played scout team receiver, I actually won scout team offensive player of the year. So, like I said, I take pride in that. Sure.
Yeah, that's great, and I mean it allows you to have some really good ball skills for a cornerback, and so just adds to your palette of positive traits. And I also just want to say, if anyone's watching along and you want a question that you want to ask a question to have Manny answer, feel free to pop it in the chat and we'll bring it up before we close out. But just a couple more questions, and this is kind of one that I'd always want to ask. What was like the best piece of advice that you've received in terms of your whole career from either a coach or a player or anyone that comes to mind?
That you've never arrived. I would say it was something that I was told early on my freshman year, and you get it drilled in your ear over and over and over, and it kind of sometimes it might go inside one ear, out the other. But once you go over time, like 4 or 5 years down the road, and you hit your obstacles and you've had your success, that saying right there and that advice is something that you don't really forget. Like, you don't really ever arrive. Like, as soon as you come on as a rookie, I would assume that there's guys who don't want you to do well. I would assume they don't want you to take their job. At the end of the day, it's like they're trying to feed their family. So you've never really arrived. No matter how much success you have, you've never really showed up. So you just got to continue to try to get better.
Yeah, so now this is a question that, I always want to hear the player's perspective of who was the best wide receiver that you faced throughout your collegiate career?
I would say I played some talented guys. Tyler Johnson out of Minnesota is pretty good. Justin Hall out of Boston, he's pretty good. As far as receivers, could I even say players?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Played Saquon Barkley, so that sums it up. Jared Patterson, the dude ran for like, I don't know, 500 yards in the game or something like 800, something like that.
804 touchdowns.
804 touchdowns. So it's like I feel like I've played against a lot of pretty good, pretty talented players, whether it was in the MAC or the Big Ten.
Yeah, Tyler Johnson. I know. Obviously, we're a scouting page. He was a guy that I really liked coming out of college, and now he's a Super Bowl champion. So, I mean that could be you next year, Manny.
God willing.
Yeah, no. So we wish you all the best of luck as you close out this process and head into the NFL. And I mean, it's clear both from your game film and from just the way you respond to these questions that you've got the makings of an NFL player. And we really hope that your dream does come true. And I'm sure you're going to be able to succeed in definitely in some way.
Yeah. So before we close this out, I just want to let's say you were in an interview setting for a second with an NFL team, and the person interviewing you asked you to describe yourself in 3 words. What would those 3 words be?
Resilient, compassionate, and outgoing.
Any, what's your reasoning for those?
I feel like my family and I have been through a lot away from football. I feel like football tests you, so I've had my I've had my obstacles in football, and I just try to continue to move forward. Compassion. I care about people, treat people the right way, how I want to be treated, and I'm outgoing. I like that. Definitely like to have fun.
I think those are three great qualities of any person, no matter what you're doing. But like Kosta said, we wish you all the best. Thanks for coming on, having this interview with us. It's been really fun, just getting to know you a little bit more. And we'll be sure to keep everybody updated with how you're moving forward through this draft process, and eventually when you're with an NFL team, we will make sure we let all our followers know, and we wish you the best.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thanks for coming on.